Mark, just looking back at sort of the start to the season, I think one of the things that stand out to me is your team are finding different ways to win games, if you know what I mean. Sometimes playing like you did at Wickham in the second half, and then other times going away to someone like Shrewsbury and getting the result.
Yeah, look, football's not utopian. It's nice when you do it with a nice style, a nice brand, but I think it's a compliment to any team who can win ugly. And we did that on Saturday against Shrewsbury. In fairness, I thought the conditions had a lot to do with the same. I felt for them as much as I felt for ourselves in terms of the elements, and the pitch was really heavy and dry. Again, through no fault of Shrewsbury, so it was very, very windy. It dried out really quickly. So it wasn't the prettiest game I've ever been involved in, but I think football's about winning and finding a way to win. For those that like golf, having a great swing's amazing, but golf's about getting the ball in the hole with the fewest amount of shots as possible.
Hopefully you do that as well.
I do it very well, actually.
And you've got players as well, haven't you, that can score in different sort of games. That might sound a bit odd, but sort of it felt like an Ethan Hamilton type of game where a shot from, it was just inside the box, but from distance gets you a goal, whereas sometimes it can be that neat approach play that leads to it as well.
Yeah, I was really pleased for Ethan, because in training one thing we identified in him, he shoots a lot, and we were missing that last year. We scored very few goals from outside the box. Matty Virtue, Bristol away, Danny Mann had a couple of, MK Duns in particular, I remember a couple of good goals, but we didn't have a team. I remember doing presentations on other teams. I remember when we played Cambridge away at their place, identifying them, Plymouth, who scored a lot of goals from outside the box, and we just didn't really have that. But Ethan's somebody who absolutely has that ability, and in training last week he was shooting from everywhere, and at times was thinking, just release a short one there. So when the ball came to him, I remember watching it thinking, and your life flashes across you, I remember thinking, please shoot, you've done it all week. So he got a couple of good shots off, he's got a lovely left foot. So really, really pleased for him that he evidenced that, because I think he'll score a few goals from outside the box, and nice to see one go in for him as well, for his confidence.
And I know one of the things you've preached about in interviews, and I'm sure with the players, is get the cross in. If it doesn't work out, get the ball back in again, get the ball. And I was looking through your goals this season, and I think it's 3 of the goals have come from something like that. That must please you. Yeah,
we talked about it a lot last year, sustaining the attack. I look at teams like Sheffield Wednesday were just relentless. No matter, they were so big and powerful, but whenever a ball came outside the box, they didn't waste time recycling it, walking around. It just went straight back in the box. And I'm a big believer in making people defend, no matter how big you are. Defending crosses, especially when you're running back towards your own goal, is tough. So it's something we talked about a lot last year. We didn't get to work on it too much, so it was really nice this season. I can think of 3 goals straight off the bat that particularly came from that. And a good example as well would be Sean Rowan against Exeter last year. Ball comes out set piece, and he tried to play back to Carl, and Carl had gone for a hot dog. But this year it's happened, it's come out to him, he's gone straight back in, and we scored from it. So that's also good learning, and he's evidenced that as well. So something we've talked about a lot for sure.
Because we're still in the window, I have to ask the question, if there's anything imminent. We're 8 days away from the end of the window. You're pretty much done, I know, but is there any chance you think probably next week?
I think if the right thing comes up and suits all parties, then yes, but we've been really aggressive in our approach for our players. I would like one more body ideally, but the board have been brilliant, been very supportive, Clive and the rest of the board. So I'm not going to be knocking on his door, and well, I've never knocked on his door, to be honest, with things like that. Big believer in staying in your lane. But if something that is available, something comes up and it's right for ourselves, the player, and the opposite club, we would like to do something. How highly that is, highly likely, I honestly don't know. We're not in recruitment meetings every 10 minutes like we have been in the past.
You're going to be at home. It seems ridiculous, but you look at all the games and you just had the one at home so far.
Yeah, I know. It was something that I looked at when the fixture list comes out. I was, I said it before, it's like, really? But it is what it is. The bottom line is, at the end of the year, you'll have, you'll have 23 at home, 23 away, so it evens itself out. It would have been nice to have a few more games at home, but we've done okay in the games we've had away, taking 4 points in the last week. So nice to have a home game, big opposition, excellent side, outstanding young manager. We know Mike, who worked here, top coach. So couldn't be a tougher game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what a start to have not conceded a goal. I know we haven't had a huge number of games, but still to not have conceded a goal and therefore be a statement of the obvious, but undefeated.
No, I know, but you know, I remember talking about when we played Ipswich last year. They were on the most incredible run, and I remember saying to you, well, they're going to get beat at some time, and we were fortunate enough to win on the day. And I remember playing Charlton, who were on a particularly poor run when we played them. I said at some point they're going to win, and thankfully it wasn't against us at home. But at some point Blackpool are going to concede a goal. That's a fact, and we have to make sure it's us on Saturdays putting the ball in the back of the net.
And what's great, your selection meetings must be quite interesting now, because you've got Alex, who we've talked to today, and the options you have at centre half. You've got two players, I'm sure, so Ali and Teddy are desperate to start in midfield, and then you got Ben House, who didn't start on last Saturday, and obviously other players up there as well, like Tyler Walker. So great decisions for you to have to make in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, tough decisions as well. Somebody's going to be pleased, somebody's going to be disappointed, but I look at it in a really positive way, and I have to say the group, it's new to me, and the group have been outstanding in how they train. Like the standards in training are really, really high. People push them. I mean, it's all well and good us demanding standards as staff and that, but what players execute and what it looks like on the day has to come from them as well. And the buy-in's been outstanding, and there's been a big difference where we are today compared to where we were last year for sure. So, you know, people like TJ, and I have to say TJ because, you know, TJ had quite a fractured back end of the season from Christmas onwards last year, but he's really stood out in his leadership qualities, and he's continued to do that, although he's played quite a few games already this year, and then unfortunately wasn't on the bench last week. But how he's trained and conducted himself is a huge credit to himself, and it's also a credit to the group, because they're the types of people we want in our building.
And I sort of saw it and I was like, football and learning. Because I like a lot of football, and what we get is quite a lot of football, so it's really good. Definitely encourage other people, because like I'm in a situation where I might even want to go into the police force, and even though you're doing your sport, you're still getting your football, you're still getting your 3A levels out of it, so you can actually get your UCAS points or get your 3A levels to go on to even different courses, as long as you've got your grades as well as playing football. So it's sort of like it's just a good course to do, I think.